Good evening and welcome to another in the series of Talk Sports, where we sit down and discuss with the movers and shakers of sports in Grenada. This week, our guest is Kevin Cox, national basketball and professional player in the United States. He plays for the Tri-State Admirals in the Basketball League. Cox attended Wesley College, that's Wesley College in Grenada, and then the Seminole State College of Florida, also Kingsborough Community College in Brooklyn, New York, and also the University of the District of Columbia. That's in the capital, DC. He's among the new batch of Grenadians into professional basketball. And while we hear a lot about our track and field athletes, our cricketers, and footballers, there are basketballers who would have excelled during their college tenure and now into the professional ranks of the sports. Well, I welcome you, Kevin Cox. Good evening to you, Kevin, and welcome to this evening's program.
Good evening to you, Mr. Baskin. Thanks for having me on here.
Michael is okay.
Mike.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
let's start off. How have you been coping with the pandemic? I mean, we always start off with our guest on the program because it has been tough, I know, for many of those sportsmen and women over the past few months.
Mhm.
So, how have you been coping with it?
I mean, the biggest thing for me is just trying to be safe as possible, take the necessary precautions. I'm in New York right now, and the rate of people being infected by the virus is high. So I just try to stay safe. I still do a little bit of traveling because of the my basketball, my basketball field. My agent, they have certain tournaments that's happening around the country, and my agent get me to fly to those countries. But with my season ending because of the COVID-19, family has been supporting me when it comes to like finances and stuff like that. Um, I'm actually with my brother right now in Queens, New York. But apart from apart from that, everything has been good. In terms of like me staying in shape and not letting the whole pandemic keep me back from working out or being in the gym. I use my surroundings. I use whatever I got to make sure I get some work done. So it's a bit on and off, but I'm making it work.
So, you have been able to train during the lockdown. You have been able to do some training.
Yeah, I have been able to do some training. I do some workouts in the house as well as in the backyard. But now at first they took most of the rims down at the parks, and all the indoor gyms are closed. So now they have a few rims up, so I can actually go to the park and get some shots up and work on some like in-game drills and stuff like that. But uh, I just started doing that recently. Before I was just doing like conditioning and strength workout, at the house.
Okay. Um, let's set it straight now. Give us a little background of Kevin Cox. Who is Kevin Cox? Yeah, I mean, obviously, you can start off by, some people may remember the name Kevin Cox back in schools, basketball and things like that. But let us know who exactly is Kevin Cox, where exactly you came from in Grenada. Give us a little background.
All right, so most people in Grenada just call me by my last name. They call me Cox. I know, a lot of people in Grenada know me, Kevin Cox. They
Yeah,
know me because of basketball.
but
Hmm.
calling you Cox could be confusing because there's still Cox,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yeah, and that actually happened a few times when me and Cyril on the court at the same time, and someone called me Cox, and then we both turn around. So it's like it gets confusing sometimes. But a little about me. I was born in Caracou. That's my birthplace. I moved to Grenada at the age
Where
of
exactly in Caracou?
Lauriston, like
Lars.
Lauriston, Leicester area. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then my mom moved to Grenada for nursing school, and I was still in Caracou with my grandma. But as a kid, we're energetic, and I'm with my grandmother, so I used to I used to give a little bit of trouble. So My mom took me down in Grenada with her. I attended St. George's Anglican School, Heinze. Uh, and then from there, I went to Wesley College, and that's where basketball really took off for me when I got to Wesley College. Most of my family, is in Caracou. I have family in Grenada, but you know, not that much. My dad is from Trinidad, my mom is from Caracou, but I'm I started playing sports at a very young age. I didn't start it off with basketball. I started playing like soccer, track and field. Basketball came in the picture at now at a later time. Because I was so active in sports. I ended up starting to play basketball like Form 2 in secondary school. A really good friend of mine, Stephen Caldera. He was the one that actually brought me to Kester Elcock basketball camps and his training and library to work out, and that's where I really found the sport, and being around Kester Elcock, he actually made my passion grew for it. So.
Oh, well, you mentioned the name Elcock, so I assume he was one of your
Yeah.
coaches in Grenada.
Yeah, Elcock is he had one of like the biggest influence in my basketball career in terms of like me being like dedicated and just attacking that career aggressive. Um, coming out of being new to it, like I was always athletic. I played multiple sports, but coming into playing basketball is a lot more than just being athletic, and it's something I had to gradually work my way into. And Elcock was one of the person who was there to guide me. Him along with Shadell Phillip, who's actually the assistant coach for Tornado Sports Academy. Another coach of mine, Damian Welch, who I look up to a lot. He's actually my mentor. Not only for basketball. When I need advice about anything, I can reach out to him, talk. It's like a mentor friend. Naka Joseph. He's one of the coach. Well, he coached me for the first time when I came back to Grenada to play for the national team in Suriname. Patrick St. Paul. He was a teacher of mine in Wesley College, and he was the coach of the high school team. So those are really the main coaches that I actually like played under
Okay, and
in Grenada.
what local team, apart from playing for Wesley College's school
Mm-hmm.
tournaments, what local team you played for?
I played for Tornadoes and Generations. A Generation is a team that was run by my cousin Cyril Cox. So those are the two teams I played for. Um, I can't think of any others. When I was younger, I was supposed to play with Grenada's team, the young team, but before the tournament could actually start, I had to go up to Caracou that like a few days before. So I didn't actually have the chance to play with that team, but I did practice with that team. So you could say like Pablo, um, he
That's
was
Paul
he was my
McIntyre.
coach as well. Paul McIntyre, yeah. At a younger age, I was training with him as well.
Okay. Um, any memories of competitive? I it seems as your days in school were the days of very competitive basketball, because you speak about Wesley College, and I remember when Wesley College shocked the secondary schools tournament. I don't know where you were at that time, but all of a
Hmm.
sudden, Wesley College was just producing some of the best players, and that you talk about Yellow Man, and I mean a host of players that
Yeah.
I using my basketball lingo now, just by the names called, but give me a sort of breakdown of the competitiveness of when you were in school playing in some of the schools championships.
All right. So it's funny that you mentioned Yellow, because Yellow, he was I played together with him on Generation as well. And then when I found out he went to Wesley College and he was a part of the team that made the run to win the championship, I think it was, I don't want to get this wrong. I think it was in the early 2000s, I think. Yeah, they made a run and they won the championship. Um, but the competitiveness in Grenada, like it was crazy to me because some of the guys, I still give some of the guys credit for for me being the player I am today. So Wesley College we had a little rivalry thing going on with SAS and PBC. SAS, we have our thing going on with SAS in the country, and then when we're in town, we have the little rivalry back and forth going on with PBC. So
You sure? You sure it wasn't
it
GBSS as well?
uh during I'm not sure though. I'm not sure if it was GBSS during the time when Yellow and them was there, but when I was in Wesley College, it was more with like PBC and SAS.
I'm
Because
just kidding. I know around that time. I know, yeah, BBC was a wrecking ball at that time. Yeah.
yeah, and I mean PBC actually had a basketball court on the school ground, so a lot of people from PBC always play basketball, and even after school, people you just go to like Carenage court, you'll see a lot of PBC kids, playing basketball there, whether if it's just like working out or just playing, just a sweat. But the competitiveness, I would say it was really intense. Uh, so there I would say it really kicked off for me. Like I was like Form 3, or I would say Form 4. That's where I made the finals for the first time. Although we lost to SAS, but that's where it was like an eye opener for me, knowing that we got this far, and then we have another chance to try and do it all over again. And the crowd, because with the schools, whichever part of the country you're at, and if we're in the country and we're playing against a team up there, they have their crowd, so it's like a whole village against just one school. you know but the thing I loved about Wesley College, no matter where we went to play, we would always have people supporting us. Like they would have times where people like either the teachers or students at the school, they will organize a bus to just have students to travel with us if we're going to play far, to where they can't, like to where they just can't walk to. They will organize a bus to come support us. So I would say that the supporters played a big part in the competitiveness when it comes to us going against teams. Um, but three names I would want to mention though, uh, like being like to kind of like fueling that competitiveness in me. Um, Andrew, what's Andrew's last name? But he went to PBC. I know him as Andrew. Andrew, Jamian, and Roger. So Roger went to GBSS, Jamian went to SAS, and Andrew went to PBC. I mean, I never told him that personally, but you know, going back and forth every single year, and even in club sports. So we played against each other in high school, and we played for all four of us played for different clubs as well. So we always go at it against one another, and it's all, when you're on the court, you don't have friends, but off the court, yeah. When you're on the court, it's like, I'm not, after the court, after the game, we're gonna shake hands and do whatever. But game time, the only thing I'm worried about is, just my teammates and my team. But I want to give those guys some credit because, along with some other people, but those guys, they really pushed me to another level in terms of like being competitive. Just have that drive, knowing that I can, keep improving and get better. Yeah, that was, that was it right there.
Well, it was always established that outside of the intercall, referring to the track and field, basketball, secondary school basketball is probably one of the, well, in terms of ranking, would have been ranked number 2 in terms of crowd support.
Yeah.
When secondary schools basketball, whether it's in Guelph, whether it is in Grenville, whether it is in on the Carenage, Tanti, Grandans,
Kind of,
you
right.
know, secondary schools basketball had a big following. And I assume that is what you're alluding to in terms of the support. Wherever you all go,
The support.
you get that sort of support.
Exactly.
Before we move on to the next thing, are you disappointed that even up to the time of you leaving Grenada, which we'll get to in a while, that there wasn't, club championships basketball, active, I should say, club championship basketball.
Yeah, I would say that is a bit disappointing because I would just try, like right now, I would try and put myself in a situation where I'm still in Grenada and not having to play competitive basketball. And we're not talking about just going on the court and sweat. We're talking about tournaments, So um, I heard while I was up here, I heard like they have been like times where for the whole year there wasn't one tournament happening in Grenada. I know the GNBA, they just brought back the GNBA, and Kester Alcock along with the other staff. They're working to rekindle the that passion for basketball in Grenada. But I would say I was a bit disappointing though, because I used to always follow up, with what was going on back home. There was actually a page called Grenada Hoops on Instagram, and they used to post a lot. But after a while, I don't know what happened, but they stopped posting anything. They used to post about even the high school games, and then they just stopped completely. Uh, I know now, Kester Alcock, along with the others, they're working on, you know, as I said, building that passion back for basketball in Grenada, as well as getting Grenada basketball team involved in international competition. But yeah, I think they should be having tournaments, yearly. Even if it's like 2, 3 tournaments a year, that would be fine. But just to keep the guys going at each other, being competitive, because Grenada is not that big. It's not a big place. So I mean, if we don't have any tournaments going on, yeah, you can have people working out every day. We're in the gym with a trainer, or you're doing team practice with a coach. But if you wouldn't get better if you're not going up against competition. Even if it's the same people you go at every single time, it's still playing full court basketball. So like with officials and getting actual stats, and it's just the feeling of winning an actual game in a competition, in a tournament, that would fuel the drive for some people and for most people. And I would speak on the youths. Like, it would be beneficial for the youths as well, because I know there's a lot of kids back home with talent. Ryan James is one of the younger ones back home. Me and him, we actually talk a lot. I try to give him as much advice as I can. He reached out to me and asked me questions if you need help with anything. Akinde Redhead is one of the kids in Grenada who has a lot of potential, and I wish I could see him out here playing basketball. And I know they have a lot of other kids back home, but they just need to keep playing basketball and just stay active when it comes to like the competitiveness. Because coming out here, it's like a whole different ball game. I can say that right now. It's a whole different ball game, and say like there's not any tournaments happening for the whole year, and all of a sudden you just come in the U.S. on a scholarship or something. It's like you're being thrown in the fire. So it's like I was a little bit disappointed, but I hope that there people are working towards bringing those tournaments back in. Just give people and the youth something to like look forward to when it comes to basketball.
Okay then. Uh, that's like very interesting indeed. And before we go on, I just want to ask you, do you know the name Jehu Lafouille? Jehu?
Yeah, Jehu Lafayette.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Me and him was just on the phone yesterday. Yeah, I was just talking on the phone with him yesterday.
Okay.
He's getting ready for his senior year, but we're good friends.
Okay.
When I came back in 2018 to play in Suriname with the national
Well,
team, he was a part of the team as well.
well, interesting enough, that's how it is, because when I started promoting your thing, somehow we touch base with each other, and I want to invite him to be on the
Okay.
program to join you. I don't know if you're seeing him now. Joe, good evening to you.
Good evening.
Right. So Joe plays for.
Yeah.
I know it's a surprise. Yeah, I know it's a surprise, Kevin. You know, Joe, and let me give
Yeah.
you the opportunity to introduce himself to the listeners, to the viewers. Joe.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jay Hugh Lafayette. I'm from Grenada, but I currently play basketball over here in the U.S. college basketball. Um, well, coming from Grenada, Kevin Cox was a big name in basketball. High school, when I started playing, he was a big motivator for me coming up in high school as well. I started off playing volleyball, but I switched to basketball, and it was really competitive. And following Kevin's story, I know he was a hard worker. Sometimes we would even work out together on the court, but I I just wasn't good enough. I wasn't at his level, so people didn't really know about me. But I was always determined to keep fighting. He was a big motivator, a big role model for the younger guys, especially. And yeah. So
But in the start, he mentioned at Wesley College,
uh-huh.
SAS was one of their rivals. You attended St. Andrews Anglican Secondary School, SAS. Any
Yes, I
Yeah,
did.
you
indication that
know.
you all may
You
have?
know.
Yeah, I know Kevin. He was a problem. He was a problem for SAS. He was a few classes above me, and at the time when he was playing, I wasn't playing basketball as yet. So I was still on the sidelines watching. I was watching from the sidelines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting to know. And before we move on again, Kevin, I want to bring another person onto the stream this time. Let us welcome it's a former national player himself, a former coach, former sports minister, Patrick Simmons. Well, this is a SAS connection, it appears. Good evening to you, Patrick Simmons.
Hi, Vasco. Good evening.
Mr. Simmons.
Yeah, Kevin and I'm Lafouye.
Hello,
Good
Patrick. How you
afternoon.
doing? Yeah.
I'm doing very well, very well,
How you
very
doing?
well.
Good afternoon. Good
Good to see both of
afternoon.
you, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
Simmons,
good to see you too, man.
these
Thank you.
these guys, especially Kevin, was speaking about when he was in school and the problems he received from SAS, and I'm speaking about from Wesley College, from SAS, and PBC. Unfortunately, he didn't mention the GBSS, but that's all right. But interesting enough, Simmons, we were talking about the basketball and especially these two youngsters, and we have quite a number of others, but in this spotlight, Kevin, and then we have you as well. You would have known them, you would have seen them. What's your take?
Well, Lafouye, I could remember Lafouye very well. Kevin, just slight memories I can recall of Kevin, but Lafouye, I remember him very well. Well, actually, as he pointed out earlier on, he was more from a volleyball background because his brother coached volleyball. He had a elder brother that actually played basketball for SAS in the earlier days too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But from my short-term recall, Kevin, no, but Lafayette would be the person I recall more as opposed to Kevin.
Okay. And before we move on to Kevin, because Kevin has to, and both Kevin and Jay will probably have to get us into the US, how they got into the US. But Simmons, Kevin was lamenting the fact of the lack of competitive basketball in Grenada at this time. You agree that is hampering the development of the sport?
Of course, it is. It is. It is. In fact, even over the years too, basketball has never really gotten the level of prominence that it should really get. Taking into consideration the performance of the athletes and the commitment of the athletes, and not only in the field of basketball, but if you take a very close look at the guys that really excel in basketball, you'll realize too that their academic performance has been excellent, the majority of them. Added to that, they would have played multiple sports, not only basketball, but they would have represented their school or the parish or the country in other disciplines, track and field, football,
Sure.
volleyball, as the case may be. But and I think there are factors that would have been responsible for basketball being treated the way that it has been treated currently and years gone by.
Okay then. So moving on now to Kevin, as you were talking, let's move to telling us how you were able to make that move from Grenada to the United States.
Yeah, that move to the US, it was a bit hectic, and I'm really glad you have me on here so I can speak on it. I hope there's some of the youths that are tuning in right now to hear this. Um, so coming out of high school, I had the potential to come straight to the US. In fact, Kester Alcock, my coach, he and at one point, so I was playing for the smaller team for Tornadoes, and I could recall this. This is one thing I can never forget. There was a day we had training in Laborie, and then he called me up. He called me. Well, the team was in the gym. I think we had like a meeting, and he promoted me to the senior team during that meeting, and then he mentioned that there was a school that wanted me, a junior college that wanted me to come to the US. At that time, I think I was like 18, 17, 18, and but he felt I was too good to go to a junior college at the time. So we have time, so we can wait it out. But um, as the years, a couple years go by, nothing really happened at that point. And it's not. I won't really say it's anyone's fault. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, at that time to me, I was young, so I didn't really know about how stuff runs in terms of like getting to the US. So my hands was my like just completely put myself in other people's hands. So I got to a point where I just felt like I want to take it upon myself. And mind you, Kester Alcock, he actually, and when I told him about certain schools I was reaching out to, and he actually encouraged me to reach out and you know get in contact with schools as well. So when I got to the point where, um, no matter what it was, it could be a scrimmage, it could be a game, any little chance I had, I would give somebody my phone to record the games, and that is something big. I wish that someone in Grenada could take initiative and just really make that be like a serious thing in Grenada to record the players so they can have film, because no coach overseas is going to go on a word of mouth to give you a scholarship. They want to actually see you play. I would say if I didn't have film, I wouldn't have been in the US. I wouldn't have got a scholarship. So I actually had to take the initiative to have people record my games. And my mom noticed. My mom used to see me doing it every single time I'm on the computer. And I used to put the clips together, cut up my videos, so I can have something on YouTube. So if someone is interested in me, I could just send them the link and they could see me. I used to have games. I used to have workouts. I used to just have videos of me dunking. I just put it out there. And we have the internet. We have a platform where we can upload stuff, whether it's video, whether it's you saying something, speaking on your journey or whatever, just so people could see, and that stuff like that catches people's eyes, right? So, excuse me, I don't think most people know how many schools I reached out to. I would just leave it at as 100 schools, but I can go back into my email right now, and there's 100+ schools I sent out emails to. Like, I reached out to schools. I would sit on the computer all day. I would just go through the internet, look for JUCOs, Division 1 JUCOs, Division 2 junior colleges, and I would just go to athletics. It's not that hard, and kids could do that today. You just go through the coach's information, get the email, or you can get the number if you want to call. But I did mine through email. I copy and paste the email, and I just sent my videos. Just tell them a little about me and sent my videos out there. And me doing that, I got a lot of positive feedback in terms of schools reached back to me, and some schools said they could offer me a partial scholarship. Some schools said, they're really interested in me, but their roster is full for the year, so they'll wait until the following year. And at the time when I was doing this heavy, I was 20. That was in 2015, so I was 21. So at that point I was like, I can't wait until next year. I'm making a push for it. So, I finally got the breakthrough from a school called Bossier Parish Community College in Louisiana, and I went through the process with them. They really wanted me, and the coach was contacting me every single day. Um, and then, we got to a point where, documents were being sent back and forth. They were sending me stuff to sign and everything. But I didn't actually sign the scholarship papers as yet. So Hakeem Simon, who is a really good friend of mine as well, and he's a professional basketball right now. He was in the US a year ahead of me. So the school that I played for at first. Oh, and the Seminole State College was in Oklahoma. There's one in Florida as well, but the one I went to is in Oklahoma. So Hakeem transferred to that school for his second year, and apparently the head coach in that school asked him if there's any good guards in Grenada, and he mentioned me. He let the coach look at my videos that I made and upload on YouTube, and then the coach he reached out to me immediately, and he was like hello Kevin, my name is Coach Don Tooley, and he asked me if I already signed scholarship as yet. And I told him I'm in the process of doing so, but I haven't put pen to paper yet. And he's told me give him some time to come up with something. And the very next day they offered me a full scholarship, full tuition, books, room and board, food, everything. And the reason why I chose to go in Oklahoma instead of Louisiana, because Bossier Parish, it was a full scholarship, tuition and everything was taken care of, but they didn't have a dorm room, they didn't have dorms, and they didn't have cafeteria. So the coach's plan was, to get a room for me, close to the campus, and to give me a stipend every month, so I can buy food and stuff. But I was like, me not being familiar with how things run in the US, I would feel comfortable if I went to a school where, they have dorms, they have a cafeteria where I could just stay on campus and not have to worry about a lot. And I was thinking about my mom a lot too, because my mom, she worry a little bit sometimes. So I just wanted to make that transition as easy as possible. Not as easy as possible, but less stressful as possible. So that's how I actually came. My transition from Grenada to what's happened. And I would say this: I would encourage the kids back home in Grenada to yes, you would have coaches in Grenada saying they're working on something for you, or they say don't be in a rush, be patient. But at the same time, you can't, if you want to get somewhere, you're looking to get a scholarship, you can't fully put your career in someone's hands. Yes, you're young, and I'm glad I took initiative to do this myself, being at a young age. But get out there. You got the internet. Everybody have a phone. My little brother who's 8 years old got a phone right now. He texted me on WhatsApp and everything. So it's like, you have the resources. You could, look for schools, get the coach's contact, reach out, make your videos and let the coaches see your potential. So that's how I really got to the US, and that's my transition.
You made an important point that I think Mr. Simmons may want to develop on the whole issue of the sportsmen and women, doing some documentation. I think the previous attempt to have a sports policy, a national sports policy, Mr. Simmons had the whole issue of archiving and documenting our sportsmen and women. You want to develop on that, Simmons?
Right.
Yes, well, the approach that Kevin used, I think, is very very relevant, especially in this current period with our athletes, not only basketball players, but also people involved in the other disciplines. As it stands right now here, you cannot depend on the ministry or even the association to take the lead in preparing you for that possibilities outside of Grenada. So you have to take the lead, and taking the lead, I think, is doing exactly what Kevin spoke to, and that is making sure that you record yourself, whatever competition that you're participating in, and try to get it on YouTube. YouTube is available to everybody, so you post
Exactly.
it on YouTube, and I mean that I think that could work actually wonders for you. So I think that is a very right approach, and I would encourage the other athletes to follow the same precedent set by Kevin. Now,
Okay.
in terms of the sports policy, yes, the sports policy actually speaks to the documentation of performance of athletes and so forth and so on. That in itself, again, could be like an archive, so they can coaches and players and sports administrators should be able to draw upon that information so that they can build positive and well documented profiles on our athletes. But as it stands right now, that is not to be, because there are other persons that probably would have other persons that had a different view on the way the thing should go when it comes to sports development. So, but I will encourage athletes, to take the lead and be very proactive in organizing themselves in making sure that they do some documentation on their performances.
Okay, then. Thank you very much, Mr. Simmons. And let me add, bring in there a gentleman who has been able to bring a lot of these players together, and in fact, assisting me in getting a number of basketballers. In fact, I never knew we had so many basketballers. Guys playing basketball at the college level, professional level, in the United States. Kyron Batiste. Thank you, Kyron, and thank you for all the assistance you have been giving to me. And I welcome you to the program this evening. Obviously, you have been a linchpin for Kevin Cox.
Yeah. I mean, thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay, yeah. Oh, Kevin. I mean, I'm probably Kevin's biggest fan after his mom. I mean, I can tell you that for sure. Kevin, I saw his potential. On one of my trips back to Grenada. My usual summer trip back to Grenada. I saw this kid on. I remember clearly. I saw this kid on Carenage court, just going through drills and in the hot sun, playing for an hour or two, right? And for me, being through the system here, playing college basketball, I knew what it takes, to play at this level here. I saw that kid, could have played because I saw his passion, his commitment, his drive, and I saw the way he trained. I knew that someday this kid was going to make it, at the college level in the US, and I wanted to kind of be a mentor to him and show him, what it takes to get there. And that was probably 2012, Kevin, right? Or 2012, 11 or 12, and we
Yeah.
just been friends from since that day. And I try to, just teach him, we talk a lot and just try to give him the right advice that he needs to, to be successful, on the college level and professional level.
I know you have been following not just Kevin, but a number of others. You get the impression that it takes quite a bit of focus and discipline and all the extras for these guys to maintain that level of competitiveness, knowing that a sport as basketball, you actually, in the United States in particular, and at the college level, you're competing against thousands of others. It's not like football and track and field and cricket, where you know that if you come in from the Caribbean, there is a probably an 80 or 90% chance of you making it into the four. But basketball being very competitive, especially at the high school level and the college level, just about every kid from the United States or any community would be able to get a scholarship. So for coming from places like Grenada and other parts of the Caribbean, you have to be highly skilled. You have to be focused,
Oh yeah.
disciplined.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Because I mean, in my case, I remember I was probably the fittest person on my college basketball team, coming from Grenada and training on the beach and all the stuff. Training with Cyril every year. But I was not the most skilled player. So 'cause those guys are very skillful. Like, these guys live and breathe basketball. So I think one of my advantages was just being one of the most fittest players, and that carried me, to play longer minutes, as opposed to other players playing shorter minutes. But yeah, you got to be ready. You got to train and see it as a program, see it as a way to really enhance your skills. Because if your skills are not there, they'll move on to the next player. It's that simple. Yeah, it's not going and run on the court and shooting the ball. You gotta know how to read defenses, know how to the right fundamentals, know how to shoot the ball correctly. Yeah, so it takes a lot, and that's what Kevin has done. You know, he has trusted the process where he gets better and better every year. I mean, I've seen this guy develop over the last 8 years, and it's just crazy to me the way he approaches this whole thing mentally. Being in the gym, keeping his body right and just sticking with it. And I think that's what have him, where he is today. I'm really glad for him and what he's accomplished so far.
Okay. Well, speaking about that, let me see if I can get because he has been, he spoke a lot about, having things on the internet and stuff like that. And I was able to come across something that obviously you may find very interesting indeed. Uh,
I
Indeed.
remember that one.
All right. Yeah, some very interesting things. And it's interesting that you mentioned about documenting because I was able to find so many things, even from Grenada, the Carenage hard court, and I think it basically propelled and helped you in achieving your dreams because you can find a lot of stuff that you did. Some of them you realize that they actually from mobile phones, recorded that, probably put a little music with it, slow mo, all this sort of stuff. So I assume coaches, just Googling the name Kevin Cox Grenada can find, dozens of videos with him doing, various skills and things like that. And I think that is what Kevin has basically encouraging our sportsmen and women, not just basketball, because obviously, as Simon says, is something where volleyball, whether it's track and field, whatever, and things that probably coaches themselves can do. You will add Simmons. Okay. So
Michael, I didn't pick up what you said there very clearly,
no, I was saying that the fact that
I'm not hearing you clearly.
okay, you hearing me now, right? Are you hearing me clearly now?
I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you at all.
Well, I'm hearing you clear, but let me see if I can fix it from my end now. But probably let me go to Kevin. Kevin, the whole idea of documenting, as you were saying, all these things, you will say,
Mhm.
added to your success at the college level in terms of the transition from Grenada to United States. There were a lot of information. There was a lot of visuals, I should say, for the coaches to see, and you're encouraging other sportsmen and women in Grenada to do likewise.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't think, and it's funny that was a surprise because I didn't know Kyron was going was going to be on here. But one thing I don't think Kyron mentioned that I was actually the first recipient of the Kyron. If you can help me out, what was the name of it? Is Kyron on here still?
Yes, Kyron is.
So
Kyron is here.
yeah, so in memory of Kelon's legacy, we have a award called the Kelon Baptiste Scholarship, the Kelon Baptiste Memorial Scholarship Award, and Kevin was the first recipient of that award.
Right.
And that award gives you, a bunch of gears, like anything they need to train to get to the next level. So we gave him all these gears and support that he needed to get, to continue training and playing. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now I know. Yeah.
I was so appreciative. Yeah, I was so appreciative of that too, because as during my time playing basketball from Wesley College, and going on, like I had times where I played basketball until there's hole in the bottom of my shoes, and then what I would do was just switch the sole, and I would just play with it until the sole inside the shoes get a hole again, until I get a new sneakers. So there's times where it was really hard when it comes to like having gears and stuff. So Kyron, I remember exactly. I got a basketball, a pair of shoes, gave me a water bottle, a basketball pump, and I got something else. So that was actually the first time I got a brand new ball. I'm talking about a brand new ball, never used, no air in it. And I'm really appreciative that Kyron, they saw that potential in me and decided to continue supporting me. And even up to this day, as you mentioned, he's everything. He's like a close friend. He's a mentor. He always, we always talk about certain stuff, even if it's not to have a conversation about basketball, just to talk stuff. So I really appreciate him as a person, and just supporting my journey. And even up to this day, we're still talking about other things that we could do. Going along like in the future.
Oh, okay. Let's talk a bit, Kevin, about your professional status now. Playing for, is it the Admirals? I think is the Admirals the name of the team in the basketball league. Let's talk. Give us a little bit about the team and your status as a professional player.
Okay, so let me take. I'll take it back a little bit to last summer. So me finishing college, I went to LA where I signed a contract with an NBA agent out there. So I was a part of. I guess people on here would know who Metal World Peace is, Ron Artest. I was a part of his agency. The agent I was signed to, he was like second in command after him. So that was I got a lot of experience being around them because I was playing in the Drew League. I played against playing in basketball open gym with some NBA players like Nick Young, Brandon Jennings, Ryan Hollins, and it was a really good feeling. I took pictures with them and it was great. I mean, I took pictures, but at the same time when I'm playing, I wasn't really thinking about that. But just being out there exposes me to just the competitiveness and playing on a competitive level. But it came to a point where the summer was he was getting deep into the summer, and Metal World Peace, he had so much business and so much stuff going on that there was like 3 people including me, signed to his agency, and I don't think there was putting a lot of focus on the players because he had so much happening. Because it was a new agency, he decided to introduce, and I was signed with an agency until I finished all my NBA G League tryouts. So I tried for I had a local tryout for the Long Island Nets, the Brooklyn Nets G League team. I had a tryout. I went back to California again to LA for a tryout with the LA Clippers G League team, and then I was down in DC. I think that was the one. Chiron know some people on that organization for the Wizards G League team. So we spoke about it, and I went down there as well. And then after the tryouts, I did I did my thing. I did good at the tryouts. I think DC was the tryout that I think I did the best at because after a while during the process, the head coach came to me on the bench and we was talking. He was just asking me certain stuff, trying to find out some information on me, and I thought they was going to pick me in the draft because like the G League draft, I was locked in on it. So I was just waiting to see if the coach going to pick my name. They going to pick my name, but unfortunately they didn't. And my agent in California, LA, underneath Metal World Peace, it went like 2 weeks gone by, 3 weeks gone by, and they haven't. I'm not really hearing nothing. Even if it's a text, they say like, "Oh, we're working on something," like just to make me know that y'all are staying active. I didn't hear anything, so I made a personal decision to terminate the contract and to sign with someone else, which is my current agent right now, who's Perry Bowler. He's a part of Team Up Sports Consulting, which is the agency I'm with right now, and they're doing a fantastic job when it comes to like marketing me and putting my getting me to travel to play in certain tournaments to where I could be exposed to coaches and scouts. So, I signed after I terminated my contract with, Metal Peace Agency, and I signed with my new agent. That's how I found out about the TBL, where I played my first professional season. It was crazy too because it was like a last minute. The State Admirals actually. A coach in New York named Jules. He was one of the persons who told me about it too. So I was playing in a semi-pro tournament when I came back when I was back in New York, and he mentioned the TBL, and then I spoke to my agent about it, and then he told me the league, and he think that would be a good fit for me. So I ended up going to the final tryout for the Tri-State Admirals, and I went there, and the coaches they don't know who I am. Like it always starts off like that. Nobody know who I am until I start playing. And then after the tryout, they invited me to camp. Same thing in training camp. I did thing. I stay on top of what I had to do. And then when they picked the final roster for the team, they picked me as one of the top guards. So that by itself was a very good experience. I would say though, my first experience playing pro wasn't the best experience, but then again, it's a good start. In the beginning of the season, we started off playing the defending champs, which was tough since our team was a first-time team in the league. We played them back-to-back games actually, the first two games, and we lost. And after that, we went on a roll. We lost the first two, we won the third, and we lost the fourth. And after that, went on a 7-game win streak. It's all new guys together and a new team. So we had to, play a few games into, just to, gel together. And then, once we got a rhythm, we started going at every team. We started beating team. The last game we played before the coronavirus shut down the league, we played against the number one team in the league, and we beat them. And after that, the Tri-State Admirals was like one of the most talked about team in the league, and we was definitely on a championship season. But unfortunately, that this happened. But I would say it wasn't the best, but for the first time being a professional basketball first pro season, it was
Interesting enough. So the season would have ended abruptly because of the pandemic, I think it would have been earlier in March. Any
Yeah.
indication as to when the season will resume?
Well, it's due to resume next January. So the season goes from the close to the ending of January to the ending of May. So uh, for now, there's no TBL season going on. No, they are starting some. They're trying to start some training camps and have people come to the camps or come to the tryout. Whatever they got going on. But as now, the season is not happening. Um, just like the NBA was shut down, all leagues in the US was shut down, and then you see other countries started to follow suit. I mean, the NBA is the most looked at league in the world, so a lot of other leagues will definitely follow suit.
Okay. Um, Kyron, as we getting ready to wrap up the program, quite a lot from Kevin in terms of his transition from Grenada to the United States, and especially the college, and then into the professional league. And we have been speaking over the past few days about the number of Grenadians who would have come through as well, and some may not have gone as far as Kevin, but quite a number of them would have accomplished the dream of playing in the college circuit, and eventually uh, coming out with a degree or two, and putting themselves to the next level. We have those who would have completed and returned to Grenada. Do you think that the days of when we had so many of these youngsters coming on basketball scholarships, you think those days will return, or it becoming a bit difficult for the average person from the Caribbean to pick up a scholarship?
Well, I wouldn't say I wouldn't say it's gone, but we need to have more basketball playing in Grenada so the players can continue to play and people can see them playing and coaches can scout them, because as Kevin said, you gotta have tapes. If you don't have tapes, the coaches don't want to see you. I mean, it's just a waste of sending a resume saying I played basketball, I played for this club. So you need to have more tournaments. So yeah, that's there's no way around it. You gotta have games going, and I think Grenada has talent. I've seen it. Right, the young guys are talented,
Right.
but they need an outlet. They need to play more, and that's the only way you can get scholarships going. I mean, every year my coach at my former college, which I went to Lincoln University, asked me, and who do you got this year? And sometimes I'm just numb to say, well, look, I got 5 guys, 10 guys, but look, I know they have not been playing. I know what it takes to get a scholarship and to come and perform, and play at the next level here. So we got to start playing. We got to start going back to the grassroots basketball and start playing more tournaments. Yeah, there's no way around it. Yeah, but we are talented group in Grenada. Very talented group of guys. Yeah.
And just to touch real quick on what Kyron just said about people asking him for players. So my head coach in Seminole State College, he reached out to me earlier this year, and he asked me about players. And Nigel Byam, who's actually played professional basketball for a numerous amount of years, he was in Grenada working out with players as well. So I reached out to him. I was like, "Yo, my head coach from my JUCO, he reached out to me, asked me if there's any like four or five power forwards or centers back in Grenada, or even a wingman, a strong wingman. So from the 3 spot up to the 4. And I hit up Nigel, and he was like, bro, like the kids down here are not ready yet. They're not ready. So he was like, he's not gonna just because it's an opportunity, you're just gonna like say like, yes, we have kids, to say like we have a Grenadian going to play basketball, because it will look bad on us as the people that the coaches are reaching out to try and find potential. You'll just give them somebody who is opposite of what they're asking for, and they probably wouldn't even look to you to find any players again. So as Karen said, like they need to be playing so the kids could stay ready.
Yeah.
Well, very interesting indeed. And just to let you know that we, through Kyron again, we are planning a program where we'll be speaking with a number of the former basketballers, the likes of Johnny Jackson and Dillard McIntyre and Keemon Christopher and others, most of them on the West Coast now. And we will speak to them about, their transition, from Grenada to the college league. Some of them, well, one of two would have played at the professional level, but generally would have played in the college and would probably have some advice for some of the young basketballers. But it's also part of a reunion of getting to know some of our past basketballers in particular. Quite a number of them still around, and we're working on that. So thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate your your presence on this evening's program. And just to let you know that come next week, we'll be we'll be inviting Carenage James, the former world and Olympic champion over the 400 meters. Carenage James will be the guest on our program next week. And we're still working on having another program within a program. Well, we will see how we can do that, because we have quite a number of people who we have to fit in. And basketball seems to be a very interesting topic, because we still have quite a lot to talk about. The whole aspect of the resuscitation of the sport in Grenada, the National Basketball Association, competitions, all these things that we're hoping to talk about. And from time to time, we'll be speaking to persons who probably will be able to speak a bit about it, because sometime in August we have Coach Naka Joseph, who will be speaking, albeit he'll be speaking about his new book on sports in St. John's. But obviously you want to touch on basketball, because St. John's would have produced a number of top basketballers over the years. So we will touch on that as well. So thank you once again, Kevin Cox, Kyron, Patrick Simmons, who was on with us earlier, as well as Jehu Lafille, who was also with us, and all our viewers, Hazel and Regis Buckles, who have been very instrumental in the startup of the program, and she has been very supportive. And obviously, she sent her regards to all of you gentlemen. Thank you very much, and we hope.
Thank you, Michael.
Yes, and we hope to link up.
Thank you, Michael, for having me.
And we hope to link up in the future. Thank you once again. Okay.
Thank you.